UCLA chokes a late lead to Arizona. Here we go again.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Locked On UCLA Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-YOXSIMER. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever it's your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support. Welcome back, everydayers, to the number one sports podcast network out there here. Locked On UCLA, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. What we're talking about today, recapping the UCLA-Arizona game. Arizona comes from behind a game where UCLA led by 10 at one point. Arizona punched back, literally punched back. The Bruins, it's a big run in the second half, took the lead, had a good portion where they could have controlled this to the very end. And at the end of the game, Arizona found a way to sneak through in the final few minutes, made some clutch buckets, made their free throws, and UCLA lost this game, which was defined by the margins. UCLA lost by 4 points. Arizona had one less turnover, turned more UCLA points into turnovers. They were efficient on the floor. They had way more rebounds, second chance points. They had an absolute dominance in points in the paint, bench points, everything that in terms of depth, in terms of physicality, came out and punched UCLA in the mouth. And as a UCLA fan, they still could have and should have won this game at some point. Now, for the long-term development of UCLA, I think it's better that they lost this game. If they won this game, they'd be high and mighty, and we'd see this same UCLA team that would come out, not play hard, and then today, they played hard. They showed up. It seemed like in that second half, UCLA showed spurts of, what they can be. And then at the end of the game, I don't know what sets they're running, but to come off a timeout and get a fadeaway jump shot where Bilodeau's getting bumped off the shot. It wasn't a foul. He's just getting bumped off the shot, fading away and airballing it, and that's the best shot you can get off a timeout. When you're on a fast break and they can't see an open shooter in the corner, just so many times when the Bruins couldn't get a rebound, Mick Cronin literally told them in the practice, when the reporters are there, the videos were out, you have to be physical. Arizona is literally going to punch you in the mouth. And they did. Again and again and again. Last year it was UCLA who punched the Wildcats in the mouth. They literally did. Arizona figured it out, got in some big wins, and they went to have a nice seed in the Big 12 and the NCAA tournament. UCLA, with the first chance to put a splash into the season, maintained an early start up by 10. Arizona came right back and erased that. That 10-point lead vanished. Bruins up by 6 to 8 in that second half, multiple chances to extend the lead, and just poor possessions. Multiple times where they had rebounds underneath the hoop, second chance rebounds, and the Bruins were just playing patty cake off the backboard. Even when times when Arizona wasn't fully in position to defend the shot, still patty cake off the boards. What there was in this game, UCLA had clutch three-point shooting. UCLA shot 53%, better than any game they've had so far this year, 9 of 17 from three. And yet, it was UCLA's inability to hold on to the basketball, leading to Arizona coming out and scoring. This felt like a Mick Cronin team that he wants, and that was what Arizona embodied. Physical, tenacious defensively, rebounding, physicality, turning points into turnovers, and being opportunistic when it came to the game situation. Arizona really defined the matchup. And for a team where I was mentioning to KJ earlier in this podcast, earlier in the day, I was talking about, hey, Arizona is run by a lot of freshmen, and UCLA has veterans. Well, at some point, the veterans got some buckets. EDJ hit some threes. Bilodeau hit some clutch threes. A nice mid-range jumper for Clark to give UCLA a late lead briefly. But it wasn't the freshmen that defined this game for Arizona. No, it's the guys who have been there. It was the Del Orsos, the Krivases, and the Jaden Bradleys that stepped up for the 3 to 4 freshmen who couldn't do a lot. Now, Awaka was an absolute monster. 10 rebounds, 8 points, did absolutely everything. Del Orso was the scoring engine that when he came in the game, changed the game for Arizona. Because UCLA was not exactly going to blitz Arizona off the floor, but the Wildcats had nothing. And then Del Orso came in, was clutch from the free throw line, hit some clutch threes, and the Bruins let Jaden Bradley get hot in the last 5 minutes of this game, open three to give the Cats the lead. A crazy shot off the top of the backboard and down, and then made his free throws late when the Bruins just couldn't close this one out. They couldn't. They were somewhat outplayed, outmuscled. They didn't fully execute, and they still had a chance to win. They still had a chance to win. But it was so frustrating. I'm literally slamming cups on the floor, just like, are you serious? That's how this game ended? That's how this game ended? Yeah. And we saw the ups and the downs with Xavier Booker, right? Booker with 10 points, 7 rebounds, an assist, but 4 turnovers. And he got out-muscled many times by Krivas getting 8 boards, Awaka getting 10 boards. That's what UCLA is missing with the physical presence in the post that would be a Daimata, right? I don't even know what he did tonight in that game that Michigan played, but that's what UCLA is missing, the counterpart for Booker. And when Jamerson came in, he gave good minutes. He gave really good minutes. Even though Jamerson had 3 turnovers, I'm surprised UCLA didn't go back to him at the end when the Bruins are getting muscled off the ball. They wanted Booker's offense. Booker hit a couple of threes, hit some huge J's, pushed over a pass over to Bilodeau to get an open look for a lead late in this game. Yet I wish Jamerson got close to 12 minutes in this game. That's what the physicality demanded, and I thought he should have been in this game more. What was frustrating to see was the lack of development from Brandon Williams, a redshirt sophomore who came in and just literally threw the basketball off the rim, threw the basketball off the backboard. And you're like, okay, the difference in this game, literally for Arizona, was Del Orso coming off the bench, was Awaka's energy and tenaciousness off the bench. And what did the Bruins get? A bucket from Trent Perry, nothing from Jamar Brown, Brandon Williams, nada, and Steven Jamerson, I think, put in more than the box score showed. But if you're going to compare Jamerson's energy to Tobe Awaka's energy and tenaciousness and ability to affect this game, Awaka, crazy, leaps and bounds higher than what Jamerson was able to do. So as a whole, the bench deeper for Arizona in this game. Jamar Brown played limited minutes, didn't even get a shot off, didn't seem like he really filtered in this game coming off the bench as well, since UCLA was like, all right, what's it going to be with Donovan Dent back in the fold? There were some sets where it reminded me of what UCLA would go to last year. Late in games, last 2 years, where it's Sebastian Mack attack ball, and the Bruins wouldn't do much offensively. And then it turned into Donovan Dent attack ball, but the post defense, the interior defense from Arizona was so elite that Dent couldn't get anything going in the paint. That was the 7-footer Krivas. That was the athleticism. That was Awaka. Everything that Arizona brought was physical and a toughness that a UCLA team just did not have. That they just did not have to win this game. And they might, when Mick Cronin rips them a new one in practice, when they prepare and say, hey, we've got to showcase this for multiple games before we can go out and win a game like this. Because they could have and they should have won this game. But I think Arizona deserved to win this game a bit more. They really did. They deserved to win this game more. Yes, UCLA shot hot from 3, technically a little bit better from the free throw line, but Arizona got to the line more rebounds, more points off turnovers, forced more turnovers, second chance points, the depth, the points in the paint, fast break, everything, you name it, Arizona was a little more deserving. And this is a game where UCLA led for almost 24 minutes. 24 of the 40 minutes UCLA led, but it just seemed like you knew Arizona was coming. And I think the late line in this game was 3.5. I think at one point it was 2.5, and it might have jumped to 3.5. And when Arizona win by 4 points. That's how close UCLA was to taking down number 5 in the country. All right. That's how close they were. Just a few games in, after some rough showings, UCLA can compete with an Arizona team that took it to Florida. So on maybe a C+ performance from UCLA, the UCLA Bruins almost took down Arizona. Let's think about that. Positive. Negative, they're nowhere near being close to a national championship caliber team, because there are long stretches when UCLA has nothing going on offensively. I'm not sure if that's a Donovan Dent ball type of situation or if that's just a lack of creativity that Cronin has offensively, where it's just like 1-on-5. And you see that with Sky Clark. You see that the guy's holding the ball, and you're like, well, what are we doing on offense? I like to see something happen and change in these offensive sets down late in this game, because the Bruins could have extended the lead, that could have been up to 10 points, 8 points, multiple fast break opportunities. And where are the guys coming off the bench still afraid to play in this game? And that's why Cronin had to ride Dent for 35 minutes, Booker for 31, Bilodeau for 33, Daly Jr. for 32. And if Clark didn't have some early fouls, would have been 30-plus minutes. Arizona leaned on some of their starters. The freshman, Koa Pete, didn't do too much. 6 turnovers, 4 personal fouls. He put up 30 on Arizona. Put up 30 in his first game. UCLA said, nah. Braden Burry's 1 of 9 shooting, 3 turnovers in 34 minutes. The Bruins were ready for the freshman. Karchenikov, if I'm even saying that right. Couple of turnovers, 2 for 4, 0 for 2 from 3, 4 points. So those 3 big freshmen, about 16 points, less than 40% shooting. If I'm doing the math quickly out of my head, I'm pretty sure. But the other guys went to work, did their jobs, and the Bruins hopefully will be better for this, where Mick Cronin can instill in this team that you have to be ready to play. Because if they're not, then I don't know what they're going to learn. Because you can't just go through this non-conference stretch, not really do much. You still got Oregon and Washington early. Your next big matchup is not until Gonzaga in December. What are they going to learn from here till they go to Seattle in a month? What lessons will they learn going through first 2 games of Big Ten play, a Cal game, a lot of easy wins for UCLA? What can they learn, and can they beat somebody by 30? Can they go beat a mid-major by 30? That's really the difference. Arizona was ready to play this game, and UCLA was not ready to close it out. That's the simple status quo of this. The Bruins can compete, but it's a different thing to win. And UCLA didn't close it out to win this game. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting the tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. The endless queues, the hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use GameTime, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. The easiest way to score these last-minute tickets at the best prices. There's no surprise fees, and what you see is what you pay. So you go to GameTime, and you're like, man, what if I went to this UCLA-Arizona game? Could have seen a couple of basketball games in the INTUIT Dome. Or you want to go check out this team in Pauley Pavilion when they bring in a Purdue, when they bring in some of these big-name Big Ten opponents. Go to GameTime and take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets or basketball tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Use the code LOCKED. ONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download GameTime today. It's going to do it for us here on Locked On UCLA. The Bruins choke it to Arizona. Frustrating, but the Bruins got punched in the face, and Arizona came out with a haymaker at the end. It's really how it is. Hands up, Bruins fans, 8 clap. We're going to recap the UCLA football games. We're going to have that reaction right away when the Bruins take on Ohio State. And we'll recap the women's weekend at the WBCA Challenge with the Bruins' big win over North Carolina, and hopefully one against South Florida at the end of the weekend, and have more UCLA content on this channel as always. 8 clap time, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.